Welcome to Skyler Jarvis Media.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Skyler Jarvis.
What's up, everybody? This is the Skyler Jarvis Show. I'm your host, Skyler Jarvis, and today we're doing another boss rant. Now, I said for the 20th episode, I wanted to do something from y'all, and one of the requests I got was to see if I could get Struggle Jennings on the podcast. Now, if anybody knows who Struggle Jennings is, he is Waylon Jennings' grandson, and he is Shooter Jennings' son. And he's a rapper. He sings. He does the song "When You Come Home" and "Love One." So he is coming to. Oh, what is that place? It's right next to my cousins. But anyway, we're going to try to get him to come to the Brushy Mountain Brews and get on my podcast. You know, that would be some really good PR. So, yeah. Shout out to Struggle Jennings. If anybody can get this to him, we really want to see you at the B&B when you come on the 27th, 28th. Yeah, man. We're really looking forward to it. Shout out to Dylan McCleary. He made a comment on my last podcast. I think it was DEI. He put in the comments that he wanted to get on the show and talk about oh gosh. My mind just went blank, everybody. He wants to talk about something, so yeah, Dylan, man. We need to discuss when we can get you on here, man. We would love to have you. And you know that would be something to talk about right there. Because I remember when you put it on Facebook. Yes, we definitely need to do a episode on that, man. Reach out and we'll definitely get you on one. So with that out of the way, I kept asking what y'all want me to talk about for the podcast. And by the way, I read every comment. And like, if there is something that you really want me to talk about on this podcast, feel free to do so. And you know, I'm starting to do posts, you know, community posts on YouTube. So if any of y'all want to interact with those, you know, drop a comment on one of those, drop a comment on one of the videos.
Dylan said,
I'm gonna let Carson's gonna read this comment.
he said, I would absolutely love to be on a future episode with you. I want to discuss a very huge life-altering diagnosis, and the story totally changed my life forever.
Yeah. Shout out to Dylan McCleary. Shout out. Yeah, we really need to get on there and talk about your diagnosis, man. So, and he also said that he doesn't watch Disney anymore because of the bullshit politics. I was like, wow, man. You've come a long way, Dylan, by the way, man. I mean, this dude would help me whenever I was doing the GMS Benton Braille Club. As a matter of fact, that might be what the podcast is going to be about. I'm not going to lie. Because that he had a lot to do with that, man. And he was always confident. He was always telling people about the Braille Club. Whenever I got it started, he brought it to the other teachers' attention. He was like, yes, I want to do this. I want to do this. And then whenever I wasn't, and whenever I started focusing on my schoolwork in that last year, he took the reins, man, and he run. You give Dylan something to do, and he'll do it. That's a good trait to have, man. So, the GMS Benton Braille Club basically started with, it was me and it was Dylan. Well, I tried to get some of the teachers to come on board with me, and luckily I found two that were definitely up for the job and that jumped at the chance when I brought it to them, and that was Miss Janet Perez and Miss Von Ryan. I don't know her first name, Miss Von Ryan, but shout out to both of those. They made it happen. They jumped at the chance whenever it was offered. So the reason I started it is because I seen so many people just doing on their iPads, and that is totally fine. Technology is going to advance regardless of what goes on. There's going to be more technology that comes out, but people started to read Braille less and less and less and less, and I was like, man, this wasn't the way it was when we grew up. We didn't have all these tablets and everything and computers, so they were starting to introduce UEB, Unified English Braille at the time. It was basically they changed different codes of Braille from time to time. I think the last one was English American Standard Braille, EASB. If I'm not mistaken, I don't take my word on that one, but I think that was what it was. And then there was UEB, and everybody started to be just disinterested. It was like, I don't know all this UEB. They've changed so much, I'm not even going to bother. And, I was at one point, and then when I was shown how it actually was, it made more sense. So, for those of you who don't know, Braille it's a 6-dot code that we use to read and write. So, where you guys would just read everything on the page with your eyes, and you could probably see down, a lot of columns because, print is so friggin' small. It's no joke. Most print you find is not, blind people are not going to be able to read it unless it's huge. So, Braille is the 6-dot code we use to read and write and communicate with each other. So, we used to send Braille notes. I remember Miss Dubow, she had me sending letters to another girl, and then she would write back, and, just cool stuff like that. And then, the Braille note, which was a smart note taker. It was a way for teachers and students, you could send the document to the teacher. You could print it out for the teacher, and it would come out regular print, but it would be Braille on that. on the Braille note. It was a cool little note taker, I'm not going to lie. And a lot of that stuff, people weren't taking as serious going into my high school year. And so many people was like, well, I'll just use my iPad. I don't need Braille. It's like, yeah, but what happens if... What happens if technology, gets deactivated somehow? What happens if the power grid goes out and there's no power, or there's no, Wi-Fi? There's not a lot of things that we have today that we take for granted. People didn't have that back when my mama and papa were growing up. They didn't have that type of stuff. Even when my mom and dad was growing up, they didn't start having that until like the 90s and 2000s. And then it just snowballed from there. So, yeah, people weren't taking Braille as seriously. And so these two teachers, Miss Von Ryan pulled me aside and she was like, Skyler, I hear you wanting to start doing a Braille club. I'm like, yeah, I am. And, from then on, news spread to Miss Perez. I think Miss Von Ryan, or Miss Perez told Miss Von Ryan, I think. And we held the first meeting in the library. And it's one of those moments I'll never forget, especially when Mr. Benton came in and gave his speech. That was just a great moment in time for all of us, because I think, what was it, like a week later, Mr. Benton passed away. And he gave the green light for the Braille Club to start taking place, because he was all for it. You could tell by his demeanor when he came in that place. He really liked the idea. So that meant a lot to us. And then when that happened, me and Miss Perez sat down, and I was like, you know what? I think we need to name it the GMS Benton Braille Club, because it was just the GMS Braille Club before. And like it's gotta be distinguishable. This has got to be something that people are gonna remember. And we named it the GMS Benton Braille Club out of Mr. Benton's memory. And the Braille Club went on for I think it went 2017 to 18 for sure. And then 18 to 19 semester. But 1920, I still kept it together, but I was focusing a lot of stuff on getting the heck out of school. So I was working as hard as I could to get assignments in and turned in. Like most of the time back then, especially when you started getting to the last part, before they sent us home, I was working my butt off, man. I mean, if I wasn't making A's and B's, I was at least making a low C. And that was only in, I think, either English or... I think it was English, but either English or math. So the Braille Club went on, and so many people came that wanted to learn Braille, and you could see their determination, especially Dylan and his friends. He wanted to know everything. he was so eager to learn. And he would help me when people needed to quiet down. He would help me get them quieted. He would be we used to have a saying that Mr. Poole, one of our O&M teachers, orientational mobility, but he would say, if you can hear me now, clap once. If you can hear me now, clap twice. And that would be your cue to shut the heck up. So I think we use that a lot. And the Braille Club was very successful. I mean, I think at one point we had like a whole class full of people coming in. And they would walk, and some of them would walk back with me and say, Skyler, I really appreciate you doing this. And shout out Elijah Smith. So yeah, man. Or Elijah Simmons, I think his name was. No. Yeah, Elijah Simmons. Shout out Ainsley Price. Shout out. But we would have it right after school. So we would get out of school at like 3:45 every day. And then when we would normally go to the cottage for the next 20, 30 minutes to get in and get our stuff unpacked and, our day stuff unpacked again to get our homework out and get it done. And in between that time and when we went to the dining hall, we would usually have the Braille Club. And then we would go in from when it was time to eat supper, we would go into the dining hall from the Braille Club. So it was one of them afternoon activities. If you were going, you had to let your cottage know you were going to the Braille Club tomorrow. That way they knew where you were at. Yeah, man. There was this one time our cottage was supposed to be going to the gym, and we come out with the boys upstairs. So there would be A1 or A2 on the top floor, and then A1 on the bottom. So we would walk usually with the A1 boys, and then we would just split up by cottage. So one time, I got sidetracked, and instead of going with my cottage, I went with A1, and I followed A1. And I got to the door, and I asked Mr. Moe, I said, where's my cottage? Oh, yeah, they went to the gym. And I'm sitting here like, oh, crap. What the heck did I just do? So I run my ass back to the gym. Luckily, I knew the way there. So I hauled my ass back to the gym. And I came up to the house parent, and I'm like, I know you're going to be mad at me, but I got sidetracked. I'm sorry. Oh, man. Just sitting and thinking about the Braille Club just brings a lot back, man. Oh, man. There's a time there was people that went to the health center to take medicine. And there was about 5 or 6 of us that went this night. I think it was me, Chase, Jason, Avery, Sean Tucker, and Sean Manning. It was the 6 of us. And during this season, there's a lot of freaking geese everywhere. And anyway, tonight there was one on the daggone sidewalk. And there was one beside the sidewalk. And 6 blind guys, I can't trust shit what they're saying, it's okay, Skyler, even though they can see more than me, I couldn't trust them worth a dag nab, man, because I was around other blind people. If I'd have been around a sighted person, they would have said, Skyler, come on, they ain't over here. I would have been at least more comfortable. But anyway, we get to the health center and we get our medicine, come back out. Well, the goose has moved from there to the friggin' sidewalk. And we're sitting there like, how the heck are we going to get around this thing? How in the heck are we going to get around this thing? So, we're trying to get around it. And at the same time, this little bastard is flying away from us. And then at one time, we're just like, all right, we're going to have to just bolt. Just go as fast as you can toward that daggone door. So we're running, and at the same time you can hear the goose flying away from us. So we get to the door and we're out of breath. We're just like, whew, whew. Man. Jason looks at us like, y'all are crazy. Y'all are just plumb crazy. Oh, man. So, goose season, bro. The goose season. We would get a lot of geese around that area. There was one time that the front of the dining hall where we would go to eat, the front of the dining hall was blocked off because geese had built a freaking nest there. Oh my gosh, couldn't y'all have put a daggone nest somewhere else? And when we went up to the blockhouse, Miss Z says she's seen about 48 of them. About a whole daggone friggin' flock of them. Like, holy crap, man. Them geese, they were from somewhere around there. I think they were around Pullen Park. Man. Pullen Park. You ever been to Raleigh next to GMS? Was Pullen Park, man. We would go there. Sometimes our family would go there. My family would. If they were staying in the hotel, they would do that when I was going to summer camp. But we would go to Pullen Park, and then our O&M teachers would take us. And then sometimes even our cottages started taking us. So yeah, that was a good place to go if you wanted to just get some energy out. I'd usually hit the swings. So and then I think Mr. Poole got me riding the daggone carousel. So many memories, man. Rest in peace, Mr. Poole. Shout out to Mr. Poole and his family. If any of you guys are watching this, we send our condolences out to Mr. Poole and Mr. Poole's family. He was a very good O&M teacher to us, and those who know him know that he was a great man. And I know he had been watching my podcast, or at least he read the messages that I sent to him. So yeah, shout out to Mr. Poole and his family. Rod Poole, rest in peace. Man, the Music Festival 2018, let me tell you about that, man. So, on our way there, we spent a night in Philadelphia. And we stay in this big ass house. It's got an upstairs, that's where we stayed in. And the rooms just went round. Like one door would open and then you'd go on the other side and they would open up into another room. It was one of them houses. It was nice, man. We stayed in a nice house. So me and Shazan stayed in the same room. Everybody knew me and Shazan were really good friends. So, we would go next door where Mr. Poole's room is, and we'd pick on him. That was one of my fondest memories of that time. And me and Margaret were still going out, so we would, we would sit together when we could, and the first night there was this singing thing that we had to watch, and Kamel ended up being a part of it. Shout out Kamel Lee, drummer boy. Shout out, man. Shout out Kamel. So, yeah, he ended up being a part of that. And Margaret, there was this one point in the show where they played something off the Hunger Games movie. And she just started crying. And that's one of the things I remember from that night. And I remember going into the Perkins School for the Blind where we had the music festival, and I was like, wow. This, we were huge Harry Potter fans at the time, and we were looking everywhere, and it's like, this looks like Hogwarts. This looks so much like Hogwarts. And even our teacher, our band and chorus teacher that was going with it, she was like, yeah, it looks a lot like Harry Potter in this. Especially when we got to the little hall area before you got into the auditorium. We were getting serious Great Hall vibes when we went in there. And then the chorus people played. And then the band people, we got up there. And that Saturday, we sat and practiced. Like we would practice in the morning, and then we practice right before, and then we would go and have lunch, and then we would, sit and watch the chorus people play, and then we would go practice again and have, supper. And then, oh man, it was such a good time, and we met so many people. Everybody was meeting, like everybody who had went to do other events in the school. They were talking to friends they'd met there, and everybody was having a good ass time, man. We were having a ball. And then that was where I had my first Philly cheesesteak. That was a good experience. So Sunday, we go back to the house we'd stayed in before. I think it was at another blind school we stayed, and they had a nice house there where a lot of the students from there were coming and would come and stay during the time. Man, those were some really good moments. The nostalgia just about knocks you over, man. When you start talking about stuff like this, it really does knock you over. We were gonna do one, I think, in oh gosh, I think it was Lenore. Yeah, I think it was Lenore, but we ended up not being able to go because of daggone COVID. You know how that went. COVID-19 pretty much took the wind out of everybody's sails. And I remember very clearly the day they were going to send everybody home. I'll never forget it. So we were in band class, or no, we were in chorus class at the time because I wasn't able to take band, bastards. I guess I had to have a social studies credit or whatever. But we were never allowed on our cell phones, even if there was an event where the teachers were just talking, we couldn't get on we couldn't get on our phones. We just sat and watched movies all daggone day. And so, some people even got their phones out anyway. But this time they allowed us on our phones. And I knew from the jump something was off. They wouldn't let you do that. So we get to the end and we know something's up. Something they're talking about getting us home or something because of this COVID stuff. And everybody knew it. It was just, it's unexplainable. Like the whole school. You know how in y'all's public schools, sighted people that listen to this, when y'all have public school, news just spreads around like daggone wildfire. When y'all were growing up, if you remember school, if you didn't want a secret kept there was no secrets kept in school, and you had to be careful who you told what, because it would get out faster than shit, man. So that's how it was at a bond school. It's no different, man. It is no different. Everything spreads, and everybody knew that we were going to get sent home. And everybody knew we didn't know when we were coming back. So we get sent home that day, the next day. And we just don't know what we're gonna do. We're not thinking anything of it, of what we just stepped out of. Oh man, I can't express to you how just weird it feels looking back on it. We didn't even know. And then bam, we're not going back. And I mean, it was, we were supposed to go back May 17th, I think. And then right before that, bam, we're not going back. It's like, what the heck? There goes our prom. There goes our senior trip. Every friggin' thing just went out the window. And then, like, the whole virtual graduation. And this is going to be the last time I touch on this. Trust me. But one of the reasons I didn't like it is because I didn't think it was the best move. Is because this is something that is really important to people who graduate and people who, was looking forward to this moment and really wanted to say goodbye to all of their buddies that they know they might not be able to see again, and to get all their numbers so they can keep up with them and blah, 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 Scooby-Dooby-Doo. We didn't get that. We got it through a friggin' screen and a computer. And, I understand that they wanted to, that they were doing what they felt was best at the for the time. But at the same time, these people have been waiting for 12 years for this to happen. And, for those who had been at GMS longer, they'd wanted to see it. They'd wanted to do it one day and be able to say goodbye to everybody. But the only time we, got was, however long everybody wanted to stay on the daggone computer. And, some people weren't there. Some people, it just didn't feel like a graduation to me. I mean, it does a little bit more now that I've had more time to think on it. But at the same time, like, dude, that we got shit out of it. But all in all, I'm glad I got this experience. And, staying all them years at home, I'm glad I had to do that, because if I didn't go through all of that than doing this, than doing all these band performances at Brushy, you know, whenever we had the jam night, wouldn't have been possible. And I wouldn't have, you know, I would have liked it, but I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. You know, it's just like it would have been another thing I was doing. And because I went through that, like this podcast and being able to get up here and talk to y'all guys on a personal level like this means the world to me now. And it makes me enjoy it that much more. So, I want to thank everybody who has got me here and prepared me for this moment. I want to thank my mom. I want to thank my dad. I want to thank my mama and papa. Great human beings. I want to thank my brother. I want to thank every teacher and student at GMS I met along the way. I want to shout out everybody in public school I met along the way. I want to shout out everybody who got me to this moment and gave me loads of experiences to talk about. Thank all of y'all for giving me so many ideas. Mama, Papa, all y'all. And thank y'all so much. This wraps up this episode of the Skyler Jarvis Show. Again, put your ideas in the comments on what you think I should talk about. Give me ideas that you think are, what you really want me to talk about. And if I don't know much about it, I'll do the research and take time to talk about it. So yeah, this concludes today's episode. This is Skyler Jarvis signing off. Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, Skyler has left the building. Hey bro, don't you want to say anything?